We're rocking after this one, baby. Kings in the North right now. A lot to talk about on the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us. And that low energy was going right out the window because this one there was fun, but there wasn't a lot of drama unless you just tuned in for the early part. Lions by, oh God, a lot. Titans 52 actually 52-14 Detroit Lions over the Tennessee Titans here live right now on twitch.tv/pride of Detroit, youtube.com/at pride of Detroit, and wherever you get podcasts for the POD cast. We're going to break this one down. We have a very fun day, a lot of not done since 19 so-and-so kind of day for the Detroit Lions, who continue to rewrite books about themselves, about the NFL, and dismiss a Tennessee Titans squad that had some spark and pizzazz in the first few minutes of this game, but all went away very, very quickly. I'm Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on Twitter. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader, at Detroit on Lion. Jeremy, coming straight from the game, how are we?
Doing great. One of the weirdest games I think I've ever watched, even though it kind of played out a lot like some people said it would, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But hey, 6-1, two big blowouts on the Lions schedule at this point, and yeah, feeling pretty darn good about this football team still.
So bright we need sunglasses. Ryan Matthews, at Ryan_POD. Welcome in. This is the party.
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord.
That's right. Who said that?
Jameis Winston, who cut a Mid-South wrestling promo before the game. And he repeated it twice, and the reporter asked two different questions. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Also, for repeating it twice, don't look up what happened with Jameis Winston at Florida State. But let's get on to this game. So after a rocky start for the Detroit Lions and Mason Rudolph putting up quite a few yards in the first half in what looked to be worrying for a second, and a Arden Key performance so good that I thought that I wanted Brad Holmes to inquire about him at halftime. The Lions settled in, but not the Lions that you knew. No, we're talking about the special teams. This might be Jeremy's least favorite podcast to do all year. I'm sorry, Jeremy. This is the special teams podcast. They won this game. I know Kalif Raymond got a game ball. I would have given one to Dave Phipp. As I said, there's a lot of records here broken. And I love going to Lions PR account on Twitter after these kind of games. First off, Lions' first 50 burger since 1997. And only the fourth time in franchise history the Lions have scored 50 or more points. And remember that this is one of the oldest franchises in the NFL. The Lions have won 2 games by plus 38 points this season. The only other time Detroit has had multiple 38-point wins in a season was 1936. Since 1941, there's been 3 instances in the NFL where a team has logged a 90-plus yard punt return and a 70-plus yard kickoff return in the same game. Lions, Rams in 1914, the Browns in 1994. And this was a game that showed you that even when you have a bad day for the offense, protection, look, I can't say it's a great day. Jared Goff only had 85 yards of offense and was sacked 4 times. And even on a day where it looked like Mason Rudolph was starting to rock and roll, field position, baby. You get the takeaways, you get the punt returns, everything goes your way. Short field. You can't stop the Lions on the short field. The Tennessee Titans learned that out. They had a game plan almost perfect, ready to go, except for the third phase of a football game. And in that phase, the Detroit Lions cleaned up. And then you just had to wait for Mason Rudolph to make mistakes. Kirby Joseph sitting there, ready to take it away. This game turned into a laugher before halftime. And it is once again a testament to the resilience of the Detroit Lions, a testament to their creativity. We'll talk later about the David Montgomery touchdown pass, because everyone's getting a touchdown pass this year, Ryan. Even you might get a touchdown pass.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But What a great game. Lions
Yeah.
were really good today.
That is kind of the ultimate thing. Like I'm trying to find more creative ways to talk about this, Jeremy, because this is a phase of the Lions we haven't seen. We probably won't see again this year. Like to be completely clear, the Titans by DVOA were ranked 32nd in special teams DVOA. Couldn't have asked for a better matchup in that regard. I think they tried to do everything right in the first half against the Detroit Lions, and it all fell apart. The mistakes hit in, and the Lions, before you know it, are off to another laugher of a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to go back to my comment about like this being exactly how it was kind of written to be, because one of the first things Dan Campbell says about in this game is like, listen, the Titans are a pretty good team. They get on teams really, really early. They're physical. They'll punch you in the mouth right away. And if this team ever gets off the turnover spiral they're currently in, they can be a dangerous team. But you know, they don't create turnovers. I think they've created 3 turnovers all season. They turn the ball over a heck of a lot, and that gets them screwed. And what do we see here? The Titans come out, they punch the Lions in the mouth. The Lions go 3 and out right to start the game. But then what happens? Lions get a turnover, turn it into 7 points. Titans come right back, punch them in the mouth. It's a 14-14 game, 1 or 2 minutes into the second quarter, and we're all like, oh boy, here we go. This Titans team's going to be a little bit tougher of an out.
We saw Jared Goff's leg getting taped up. I'm like, oh no.
Sure. Yeah, and Goff gets sacked 3 times, I think, in the first quarter. Doesn't look great, but yeah, it's the turnovers, it's the special teams that got the Lions out. And listen, we can't just be like, yeah, you know, the Lions offense, you look at Jared Goff, oh my God, he had under 100 yards. They were terrible today. No, they weren't. The Lions offense was fine. They took the short fields that were given to them and went 5 of 5 in the red zone. Mm-hmm. The running game, which was my biggest concern going into this game. This was a top 5 run defense in the Tennessee Titans. The Lions didn't struggle with it at all day. And they rip off a 70-yarder. And even without that 70-yarder, they're still averaging over 4.5 a carry. Like, that was a good offensive. I mean, it was the whole like complementary football thing that you hear everyone always talk about. It's your defense putting your offense in good situations. It's your special teams putting your offense in a good situation, and your offense closing the door. And so it, you know, obviously if we're talking about like, okay, the Lions didn't have any long sustained drives, like that's worrisome. I mean, maybe, but like they didn't have that many opportunities to do so because they just kept scoring.
I know they had one from the turnover, Ryan, before the half that was like from their own like 2 or whatever, because they stopped the Tennessee like goal line stand. But besides that, I'm pretty sure the average, I don't know the average starting field position for the Detroit Lions, but as far as the Titans were concerned, it might have been in their own end zone, because the Titans were given red zone short field almost every drive.
Titans are a really bad football team. They make a lot of mistakes, and that you're going to lose every game you play like that. And you're going to lose every game like that you play to a top team in the NFL 52-14. Like this game got boring by midway through the third quarter. It was like, okay, I want to flip around and see what else is on, because the rest of the 1 o'clock games were like crack.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it was nice that the game was over by midway through the third.
The thing that
Hendon Hooker, the new human victory cigar.
The thing that drives me crazy is you call the Lions goal line stand, Chris, and with all due respect to the Lions secondary who forced 4 straight incompletions, if you're throwing the ball 4 times when you have the running back who was second in the NFL in yards after contact, what are you doing? Like
Tony Pollard had 94 yards in this game, averaged 4.7. You couldn't give him a single look on the goal line?
Unbelievable. Like that, the ball game is not over at that point. If the Titans score there, it's 35-21 at halftime. They get the ball to start halftime. If they score there, it's a 1-score game 5 minutes into the second half. Like, I could not believe that. But I mean, first-time head coach, still trying to figure out your identity. Like that's all the hallmarks of a new regime with players that they don't know how to utilize yet.
And I really feel like there was a plan probably to play Will Levis, but he got set back a little bit further before they went to Mason Rudolph. Am I mistaken, or were they planning to play Mason Rudolph?
I think throughout the week it was pretty clear Mason was going to play this game.
Well, either way, like, yeah, then you're talking about a backup quarterback and what can he do? And like, look, he had a hot hand to start the game. Like, I can kind of see that a bit, but you don't give Tony Pollard a single look. Like, that's kind of egregious. You're right. They could have come out the second half and it could have been a much different game where they're very close to it. But then instead, what happens when they first punt away in that second half, Jeremy? What happens on the punt return?
It's over. Like that to me is when the game was over. It's the Kalif Raymond 90-yard punt return. It was over. Like,
yeah. I don't believe some of the special teams plays that I saw. Like, I don't remember how many times I've seen special teamers, Ryan, be able to cut back inside and still just not get touched.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Kalif Raymond have a game because he's one of my favorite Lions, because he's one of the hardest workers on the team. And for him to have the kind of game that he had that belongs in like the Lions lore now when it comes to the record book, first player to have a receiving touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown in the same game. I said it on Twitter. Eddie Drummond crawled so that Kalif Raymond could fly. And Kalif, the thing about Kalif is, like, and Jeremy mentioned this in his story that he wrote on Pride of Detroit, but they trust him so much. Mm-hmm. And I know we had a lot of concern and a lot of hand-wringing over the wide receiver X position, and it was really nice that Tim Patrick fell into the Lions' lap the way that they did. But there are big spots where they trust Kalif Raymond to make a play. He had the big third down catch against the Vikings last week.
Yep.
I mean, I'm always, every game I'm always talking about, like, Kalif Raymond, there was even a punt return in this game where he caught it inside the 10-yard line, made a guy miss, and made it, like, manageable. Like, the Lions' back wasn't against the wall anymore. Like, he got, like, 7-8 yards to get them, into operating distance. And awesome game for him. Number one star of the game for sure. Like, what an incredible game for Kalif Raymond.
No question whatsoever. Two other notes. Ben Johnson still has plenty of trick plays. We saw plenty of that. Add David Montgomery to the long list of Lions positional players with touchdown passes.
And was that? No, that was still in the first half. But just for the Lions to do it in that situation where it didn't really feel like they needed to, but they're just like, to me, it almost felt like told you guys we weren't done with this. Like, told you guys we didn't spend our load in Dallas. We got plenty of this, and we're going to pull it out whatever the hell we want.
The threat of David Montgomery, not just in throwing a touchdown pass, but like that St. Brown touchdown where he's wide open. The Titans are convinced it's going to be a Montgomery handoff. They're so spooked waiting for David Montgomery. You just leave St. Brown completely open. It's unbelievable the fear the Lions instilled in the red zone in this team.
The Kalif Raymond touchdown was one of my favorite play designs. Like, having Kalif go in motion and they get all the eye candy going to the left, and there's a corner that's supposed to follow Kalif, and then there's nobody around him. Those are the touchdowns that were getting scored on the Lions 6-7 years ago, right? That would drive us mad, right? We would wonder why the defense didn't know their assignment when it came to the goal line, tight ends, wide receivers, running backs leaking out, and it's like, where? I mean, again, it's just a sign of a bad football team. Like, the Titans are really bad, and it's unfortunate. They could use a quarterback that they let go. I don't know.
It also felt like they were, I don't know, missing like a linebacker in this game a little bit.
But they were also missing. They were probably also missing quite a bit.
Like, they weren't missing a wide receiver, because holy smokes, Calvin Ridley almost doubled his season's production in one game.
Yeah. Like, in one quarter. Like, he had over 100 yards in the first quarter, but then he only had like 40 yards the rest of the way. So there's at least that.
I'm sorry. Did you tell Calvin Ridley double or nothing? You gotta be careful. Those are triggering words for him.
Yeah. No, I mean, literally almost doubled his season's output in one game. Like, at the beginning of the game, it felt like, okay, they have one guy.
I do feel like, and I kind of felt a little vindicated on this when I saw Kirby Joseph finally pick off a play coming from it. It did feel like they were playing off them a little bit and trying to really kind of force something to happen, which we turned out was the case. But yeah, early on, there was definitely some mismatches with Ridley and who was covering him, and
everybody was covering him. Like there was reps against everybody he beat everybody. So yeah, I mean, like there's still to me a legitimate amount of concern in the secondary. I know a lot of people thought they did a really good job against the Vikings last week. I wasn't as optimistic about their play. Like I understood you held Justin Jefferson below 100 yards and all that, but one-on-one, I think they're still getting beat. And listen, I think it's still a little bit of the marriage between pressure and coverage, right? The pressure's still not getting there consistently enough. It was better in the second half, which is probably why the pass defense was overall better in the second half. But also you're up 30 points and you're pinning your ears back. You're not worrying about the run as much when you're up 30 points. So I still very much think this team very much has to be active at the trade deadline. You got a week now to add an edge rusher, and I think they will. And they better because, I mean, listen, Josh Pascal will come back next week and that's going to help. But like you're starting guys that weren't even on your practice squad to start the season. That's who's out there right now. You need reinforcements. You almost need two at this point, it feels like.
Yeah, the Rodrigo injury is going to haunt them a little bit further. And Trevor Nowiski, I know he had an interception, but there was also part of the game where he just was getting... He got spun around by Mason Rudolph. That's not good, brother.
That is
it's Trevor gives and Trevor takes.
Unfortunately, that play does not leave your permanent record. People are always going to remember that one.
Happens to the best of us, you know.
Yeah.
Fatu Melifonwu got cooked by Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of an initiation for the Lions defense.
So.
Have a rather unathletic player, make a juke move on you, and
A couple things. Number one, I thought that I'm always fascinated with Devondre Sweat, and I think the Lions handled him fairly well. Number two, but this is mostly where I want to go, was to Jeremy's point. I was kind of in a mood where I was trying to wait and see what was going to happen these last couple of weeks to see if the Lions could moneyball Hutchinson or if they should go out and get someone. I think I'm with Jeremy. I am now fully in the camp of again, I think maybe, I don't know, Arden Key's numbers the rest of the season aren't great, but you do need to make a move.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be a huge, it doesn't need to be a blockbuster trade, Ryan. I don't want to see multiple firsts giving up, but you do need pieces, and they do need time to acclimate to this Lions front seven.
It would be negligence by Brad Holmes to not bring in at least one body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what this conversation is about. It's not if he's going to add an edge, it's how many players is he going to add.
Right. Yeah.
This team is really beat up and has a lot of D linemen on the injured reserve right now. I believe at the last count it was 5?
Yeah,
6?
But they're just not generating the kind of pressure that they were the first however many weeks with Hutch. It's pretty clear through 2 weeks. And this was a Tennessee offensive line in terms of pass pro. No bueno. Not good. And even the blitz, and I'm not really sure on the first eye how much they were blitzing, so to speak, and in the second half, when the pass defense does pick up a little bit, like Jeremy said, it's a blowout, so you're kind of keying on the pass anyways. But that first half, Mason Rudolph was pretty comfortable in the pocket.
Yeah.
And was making a lot of throws on time and on schedule, and Calvin Ridley had the first quarter that he had. That hasn't happened all year. Calvin Ridley had 12 catches for 183 yards coming into this game. He had 10 catches for 143 in this one alone. So it's not it's when they're going to add at least an edge rusher. They have to. I mean, Isaiah Thomas had a nice deal. Do you know what year it is, Jeremy?
No.
It's 2024. It's not 1989.
Oh, I'm confused.
Isaiah Thomas with
I don't know.
I
saw someone in an 11 Pistons.
He has an extra A in the name too.
I saw someone in an 11 Pistons jersey walk up to Ford Field, so I'm very confused at this moment. But Brett Whitefield's in our chat from Fantasy Points says the Lions blitzed 15 times in this game, got pressure on just 4 of them. So the blitz was not very effective in this game.
It's the same thing against the Vikings last week, though.
Yeah.
Darnold carved them up when they blitzed.
Yeah, and I think the Titans went into this game with also a solid game plan of attacking the edges too, right? Like they're running kind of these not quite RPOs, but they're play action rollouts, things like that are testing the the patience,
boundary stuff,
and the discipline of the Lions edge guys. And for most of the first half, it wasn't good, which is understandable. Like, Muhammad hasn't played in 2 years. Isaiah Thomas had not played in 2 years. We're talking about guys who just don't have a lot of experience. And I think part of the reason maybe they haven't made a move is they want to see these guys. Let's see what we got
out there. Wingo out there. He's a 6th rounder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're desperate. So that's what I mean. It's not if, it's when.
Yeah. Well, that when is the when deadline is coming up fairly soon. I believe, is it next week is the deadline?
It's a week from Tuesday. Yep. So we got 9 days.
We got 9 days to talk about the Lions making a move, and obviously anyone will have to be acclimated to the roster and to the scheme and everything. And unfortunately for the Detroit Lions, they're hitting 2 very big games coming up here, including one in Green Bay against possibly against Ryan's favorite quarterback of all time, and not Garcia, mind you.
Not looking forward to it. I'm conflicted. I want Jordan Love to play real bad.
Do you want Jordan Love to play just because you don't want to see Malik Willis take an L, or do you want Jordan Love to play because he just doesn't look good?
Malik Willis will not take an L next week. It won't happen.
I won't tolerate this.
You're not getting invited to First Bite.
Jeez, man. Oh, do I get to do a First Bite finally?
Cool. A day off? Sweet. Awesome. Thanks, boss.
Yeah, in turn, you get to do the purview.
Pass.
Damn, I'm
Decline.
It off to someone.
Decline.
All right. Well,
punt the ball.
Who never punts is Righteous Felon Craft Jerky and Meat Snacks, which
fuels
the Detroit Lions POD cast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 grams to 20 grams of protein. Each stick has 8 grams. If it's good enough for us, it'll be good enough for you too. We swear by this stuff. We love it. It fuels us. Ryan was housing them all to get in the to get the Dan Campbell experience, just having meat sweats and just like veins popping, everything.
I heard the Washington Commanders eat Righteous Felon Craft Jerky as well.
That Maryland Monroe. They should know the crab spice right from around there.
Hail, Maryland Monroe. Huh? We'll workshop it. It's okay.
My God, the Bears suck. I could not believe what I saw today. We were talking about this. Why do you have a spy on a Hail Mary? Why do you have a spy on a Hail Mary who does not engage when Jaden Daniels breaks the pocket?
Do you know?
Are we still in the ad read?
Yeah, we're still doing the ad read. I was going to try to bring it back with Bears. Speaking of Bears, that offensive lineman fullback dive, you won't see a bear in the woods fumble your Righteous Felon if you leave it not locked up.
No, and as something I learned this week with an order,
I don't care.
Righteous Felon will make sure that it is securely delivered to you with a real courier service.
Do we have a discount code?
We do. POD 15. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced all-natural black Angus beef, revolutionary branding, superior quality, unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. POD 15 at checkout. POD 15 at righteousfelon.com will get you 15% off your order. Get the meat in. Get everything you need. It'll be glorious. It'll be wonderful. Just like this Lions season. And when we come back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast, more to talk about with this team, with how this game broke down, individual worries for the season to come, and maybe a look around the NFC North, the best division in football. That's next on the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Bears suck. Holy God. I don't think I could have seen any way that Bears fans would have gotten as mad as the end of that fucking game.
They gave DJ Moore all that money. They drafted 2 offensive skill players in the top 10, and they said, we're on the goal line and we need a score. Let's give it to an offensive lineman.
Shane Waldron should be crucified.
Matt Eberflus, that big-brained idiot.
Do you remember you know the King Ghidorah meme where it's like 2 smart heads and the really dumb one?
Dragons?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dragon. That's King Ghidorah from Godzilla. But yeah, anyway, I'm a fucking.
Say the dragon meat. No one knows what you just
no.
said before that.
Imagine 4 heads. One's Campbell, one's LaFleur, one's KOC, and then there's Eberflus as the dumb one.
I mean, you're speaking to my favorite meme, which is all the soldiers up against the wall and the one clown that's in there.
Oh. I thought you were going to go Starship Troopers of, I'm doing my part. I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I ain't doing shit.
Speaking of that, apparently there was a story this week of Corncob TV being real. Apparently somewhere in Poland, a dead body flew out of the back of a hearse.
Oh, gosh.
Jesus Christ.
So it was read as a story on Fox Sports Radio, and let me tell you, you want to know who brought out the Tim Robinson drops?
Did he have a big old blue butt?
Casket was probably made out of crap wood.
I don't want to tell you, man. We're just catching the ones where the bodies fly out.
Shout out, by the way, Detroiters, now on Netflix.
Oh, did they finally put it on there?
Yeah. I flew through the first season, haven't watched any of the second season yet. I'm trying to savor it as much as possible.
Man. Such a good show. Just so funny. So very funny.
All right, let me get through some alerts. We got a lot to talk about. Someone called me Flanders. How dare you? I might be trying to get a little head start on Movember.
Give it a week.
I'm not gonna lie.
Give it a week. By first bite, he might be more Ned Flanders.
Nah, it takes longer than that.
Oh, so you might be wanting to look to donate $75,000 during November then.
Whoa, hey, hold on. Don't be telling tales out of school here yet. No decaf.
Well, I almost told. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was about to say I almost told the story about my adventures with an element of something for Movember, but I'll save that for later.
Okay. First of all, thank you to everybody who showed up to Chris's pre-game or post-game pre-podcast show.
Pre-show, yeah.
At twitch.tv/NoDecaf, 67-person raid from over there. JC2533, 13 months subscribed on Twitch, says Blueberry Power. Listen, no one can deny the power of the Blueberry. Infrangible, 18 months, says I love this team. McSpearmint, 24 months, says Movember incoming. Damn right. First Movember stream will officially be Saturday for the Madden Sim. It's going to be a fun one. Your boy Maroc, 30 months subscribed, says bring on the Packers. FTP. David Lunch, 22 months, says let's fucking go. Captain James Kirk, 100 bits, says saving my monies for Movember, but that was a hell of a win. Also, if you missed the midweek mailbag, here's what you missed. And then throws a TikTok.
Are you looking for Detroit Lions information?
By the way, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Quick note, since we were clowning on the Bears before we get away from that too much. Robert Zaglinski's noting that Montez Sweat wasn't even on the field.
The old why didn't Jim Caldwell put Calvin Johnson on the goal line kind of thing?
That's right.
What is this? What are we looking at here?
This is our good friend Chris, who has been known to make theme songs for us. This is him recapping the midweek mailbag, I guess.
Oh, is this Captain James T. Kirk?
That's right.
Yeah. He was asking about the TikTok, so I'm glad you saw it, actually. Let's see it.
Oh, wait, hold on. I just realized that you guys can't see it. Whoop. Oh, you don't need to see my extra face.
For Detroit Lions information, some Pride of Detroit. It's your traditional conditional podcast that has the best midweek.
All right, hold on. Gotta share sound. Where is that thing? More. Share computer sound. Mono, you don't get stereo.
Are you looking for Detroit Lions information? There's no better place than Pride of Detroit. It's your traditional conditional podcast that has the best midweek Lions coverage around when there's a waxing gibbous moon and a low-pressure system that's coming from the southwest. Are you looking for a restaurant recommendation from Anaheim? Not sure, but we can tell you about a place that does great ramen in West LA. Are you looking for a restaurant recommendation in Detroit? We're too focused on football to even think of the name of a restaurant in Detroit. Join us every week on Pride of Detroit, the only podcast that will give you wall-to-wall Jameson Williams colon coverage. Twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit or YouTube.com/Pride of Detroit.
What?
It's pretty accurate.
Hell yeah.
Why is it not going back? Whatever.
Jameson Williams colon.
Yeah, we got to know what's in his body, you know?
I hope he's not doing
by the way,
McDonald's.
We didn't. I don't think we've really talked any JMO on any podcast. Maybe a little bit during the midweek.
Yeah, I was hoping to hit it before I got sick and couldn't do Purview. So I thought you would touch on a midweek mailbag.
We did a little bit. I guess we did.
Okay.
But we
can mention it in the second half.
I was just gonna say that my favorite rumor. I mean, rumors. It's not even that. It's just like pure speculation. Someone was like, "I heard it was Viagra."
Oh, I've heard it all, man.
What? No, I heard it from a friend. The question to me is just like, why does a 23-year-old need Viagra?
My uncle at Nintendo.
What are we doing?
Well, and then we have internet docs that are talking about using stimulant drugs.
I hope he isn't addicted to anything. Like, what?
Like,
What?
if that was an...
Yes.
Hold on, Chris, can I say something?
No, sorry.
Okay.
You came at the same time. Sorry. Okay.
No, it's fine. Go ahead, man.
No.
No,
Why are
dude,
you doing
like,
this?
no, I'm not doing anything. No, we didn't.
Go
Like,
ahead,
you're
go ahead.
interrupting a lot. Like, come on, man.
I'm not. Okay.
Just go ahead.
What?
Go ahead, talk.
Okay. No, I tried to cede it to you. We talked at the same time. That's like you came
Okay.
in here at the same time.
Okay.
We got to move on.
Don't tell me that I'm
Either one of
interrupting.
you say something, or I'm going to say something.
No, I completely forgot what I was going to say now because of that. Like,
All right, I'm going to go back to alerts then.
okay, now I remember now. I'm sorry. All I want to say is PES. Someone was asking why it's just 2 games. That is kind of like what they throw out to anyone these days.
I mean,
Well, it comes from like a specific list of different banned substances, whether it's a diuretic, a masking agent, or a stimulant. That's a 2-game ban.
all right, let me get back to alerts so that we can move on. DTERP 34 months says it's surreal to witness Lions owning teams like they have the past few weeks. Yeah, I feel like we were 3 or 4 weeks into the season, and I got a tweet that was like, when's the last time the Lions blew out a team like the Saints just did or something? And I'm just like, well, they did it like a couple times last year. And now it's like, oh, yeah, they can do it pretty much at the drop of the hat now, whenever they want. Because, again, full team win. Their offense can kick ass. Their defense can kick ass. Special teams can kick ass. Full team now.
What was it 40 points on the Panthers last year?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, blowouts aren't that common anyways. Like,
No.
they're one
No,
or
they're
two
not.
per week. And now that the Lions have 2 in 3 games, got to feel pretty good about that. Ken Jammin, thank you for the 40 months. So the only thing better than a Jets loss is a Lions win. Yeah, man, I have to say I'm very much enjoying the further and further downfall of the Jets, and nothing against Jets fans or New York fans or whatever. Like, I don't have that New York hate that a lot of people have, but I certainly have plenty of hate in my heart for Aaron Rodgers and that cocky son of a bitch. And I don't know who he's going to throw under the bus this week. Probably someone that's not him, because that seems to be his MO. But I'm enjoying it.
Someone I was working with today was like, look, the Jets season is pretty bad, but look at it this way. They'll have, Aaron Rodgers, next year, and they can try this again. I'm like, that sounds like a threat at this point, that you'll have another year of Aaron Rodgers.
Are we
sounds
sure
like a
he's not
threat.
part of the problem? At least a little bit?
Someone brought this up in the pregame show chat, but I would, or maybe you brought it up, Jeremy. I completely forgot. I'm sorry, but I would love to see the Jets spend a high draft pick on a Aaron Rodgers successor while he's there,
I like that.
just to see what happens.
I mean, let's be
Funsies.
honest. That's sound management.
It is.
Like they
and he
need
will not
to do
take
that.
it well. He will not fucking take it well.
Good. Let him.
As Mina Kimes pointed out post game, the Jets are 0-3 since firing Saleh, and they were favorites in 2 of those games.
I still don't understand the firing of Saleh. I really don't. I heard a Jets guy who's on national radio like saying, trying to clown on the Packers for bringing in Saleh, being like, "Oh, what's he going to teach them? Huh? What's he going to is he going to like teach them an outdated defense system?" I'm like, "Bro, your team sucks. Your team sucks even worse after getting rid of him."
Defense was rarely the problem through 5 games or however many they played.
No, and I hear Jets fans say, "Well, it was actually about the amount of penalties the defense." Okay, cool. They were picking up the same amount of penalties still.
It's crazy to think how 2 AFC teams that one of them they were in the playoffs last year and in the Browns, and then everybody thought the Jets were at least viable contenders for the AFC East. Both their seasons just being torpedoed by a quarterback that ultimately just needs to go away.
Yeah.
But legitimately, I mean, you're talking about it on Chris's stream, Jeremy, talking about how bad the AFC is. I mean, those are 2 teams that, I mean, I don't know if you're talking about them as contenders for like championships, but playoff contenders and it's, division contenders.
I think what's kind of interesting is like 2 or 3 years ago, we thought that there was maybe this like new road to building a team with a quarterback. Like you build the whole team and then you come in free agency or via trade and you add the quarterback.
Rams did it. Yeah.
The Rams did it and it seemed like it worked. And, occasionally it does work, but now we're kind of seeing
Brady.
Brady almost feels like you can't transfer that to any other situation because
Bucs
it's Tom freaking Brady.
Yeah, but also that Bucs team was very well built for him when he got there too.
Right, but that's the point though, right?
The Jets, their defense was incredible. Zach Wilson was a pumpkin.
Yeah, but sometimes the quarterback. I mean, I don't know. With a guy like Aaron Rodgers, I think the mistake in adding him is he's kind of.
You fell in love with a guy.
You're adding a general manager, right? Like you're adding a guy who wants full control of this team. He wants an offensive coordinator he can get along with. He wants a receiving core that involves 33-year-old receivers that he played with for 5 years, 15 years ago. Like,
where's Randall Cobb?
Right?
You added a guy and a quarterback who you really fell in love with, who even though he was granted, he had an MVP season. Okay, cool. But he was at the end of his lifespan. Like, he was in his upper 30s, well past when quarterbacks are supposed to completely fall off. And you can keep mocking the whole father time thing all you want, but you rolled the dice in a really unprecedented situation and thought you weren't going to get bit in the ass. There's only one guy who could have done that, and that was Tom Brady.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Aaron Rodgers plays next year? Or did you just call it?
I can't say anything without getting myself in trouble on this topic. Can I say something half incendiary?
I don't care.
Is or is not Donald Trump the president next year?
I am not making those predictions 9 days out.
Okay. I think that impacts a lot for Rodgers. And I'm only half joking.
Yeah, I'm going to say he plays, but he doesn't play for the Jets.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I like that.
Can he weasel his way? All he has to do is get that lizard tongue in Dave Tepper's ear. I'm sure he can get his way to Carolina.
It's not a visual I wanted, thank you.
Oh my God, that would be the worst possible move Carolina could make.
Yeah. As if they're known for making good ones.
There is a lot of money on the table, and it feels like the Jets ownership is meddling enough that Woody Johnson will not admit defeat. I think he will probably play next year.
I mean, he costs more if you cut him next year, so I don't think they'll cut him. I mean, if he retires, I feel like the the Jets could recoup a ton of the owed money, which is a ton. But Aaron Rodgers doesn't need it. Like he's loaded, and I'm sure he's going to have a fantastic post-playing career doing some sort of media stuff. Let's just put it that way.
He's burning his bridges with the media. Like outside,
he's not going to do football media. That's what I'm getting at.
I understand that, but that's having diminishing returns at this point, especially now that they shut down a lot of that kind of media stuff. Like you got Tim Pool begging for. I'm sorry to dipping in politics, but like Tim Pool's basically begging for money at this point. But also like the entire appeal of Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee goes away the minute he retires. Like the minute he retires, he's just some dumb jock nobody wants to listen to for any reason. Like he's the worst kind of guy in that kind of stuff, and that he's a California guy who just is really into clean eating. There's a video with what I just sent you guys on Slack, going back to the Bears game for a second.
Yeah, I'm down to talk more about the Bears. I do have more alerts to get to, but I'm game to
Let's
talk as much about this Bears game as you want.
Let's finish the alerts, then please, I want to go back to Bears.
Absolutely. Big Al, I'm not sure if I said yours, but you get it said again. 47 months subscribed to the channel. Kula, 24 months. This whole winning thing is a lot of fun. Darn right. And shout out to Kula for coming to our live event over at what's the name of the bar? I've already forgotten. In Detroit. We'll just say that. Drip God Pubert, thank you for the first time subscriber. Appreciate you. One Pride 0427, 19 months says can now trade Hooker, Monty, and St. Brown. Can now what? Confirm QB 2 and 3. Oh, can now trade Hooker, Monty, and St. Brown. Confirmed QB 2 and 3.
And I got to put Monty ahead of him. That was a tight ball he threw.
Yeah. I asked Goff about it. He's like, dude, that was a fucking I don't know. What's the word he used? I don't remember. Shows how good of a listener I am. But clearly impressed.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about what Mount Healthy Fighting Owls, Cincinnati, Ohio. Right. Dual threat quarterback.
That's right.
David Montgomery.
That's right. And yeah, as Goff said, like he wasn't even that open. He laid a pretty perfect pass there.
He wasn't open. I was like, you're throwing that ball. And when it came off his hand, I was like, oh, that had some zip on it.
Yeah. Dart is the word he used. Thank you, chat.
Dart.
A real dart.
Steady as a dart.
Nick the Greek came in, and
no.
I feel like I could have predicted this comment. I'll give you the first two words, and let's see if either of you can finish it. Jordan Love's
torn scrotum.
You win.
All right.
There was severely torn scrotum.
Oh, sorry. I missed that adverb.
Logan Payne, 11 months of subscribed to the channel, says, took my sister and girlfriend to their first Lions game today. They're both very happy. A successful birthday outing for me. Hey, happy birthday. Hope you enjoyed the win. It wasn't quite the same Ford Field environment that we've grown accustomed to, because it was like, it felt like a day at the park. It felt like a game 72 of a baseball season where we're just like, hey, this is fun. We're just out here watching our team have a good old time.
It does feel like a game a lot of people just kind of phoned and said, yeah, the Lions are winning this.
Yeah. And they did.
Didn't feel like that after the first quarter, though.
It didn't.
Oh, yeah, panic was starting to set in.
I'm not saying that Ford Field wasn't like raucous. Like they got loud at times, and it's still a good environment, but like by the third quarter, people are doing whatever they want. It was very chilled.
I saw somebody I follow on Instagram. They like posted a story of surprised my kiddos with like tickets to the Lions game, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, they're playing the Titans. Like what?
Listen,
like
it's an expensive
perfect
ticket.
game to take a family to,
right?
Because you're not worried about like people getting aggressively drunk or anything. Like, there's no real threat that the Titans are gonna upend your Sunday.
Right.
And now those kids will grow up loving special teams.
They're not paying attention.
Okay.
They're all on their iPads.
That's right. Well, I mean, listen. I know kids get bored. It's a 3.5 hour event. Kids get bored by hour 2 or 3. And good thing good thing because like the Lions are up 30 points by then. You can be like, all right, you want to leave early?
You can stay here. Did they do the wave, Jeremy?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
They did have a corgi race.
They did have. I didn't see any of it, but they did have a corgi race. Our good friends, the Blevin Bros, were there, and literally, I think John started a Jared Goff chant. But while the offense had the ball, and Jared Goff kind of got pissed, he's like, "No, shut up!" And it was a 3rd down, and so I admonished John on Twitter to
Got to really work on that kind of stuff.
Why is everyone sending me things?
Anyway. Sorry, finish. Are we done with alerts or?
No. No decaf. 44 months subscribed to the channel now. Appreciate that.
I forgot
Logan,
to put in a message.
That's okay. You're sending plenty of messages through your voice. Nick the Greek 100-bit says, we all know it was because JMO was a guest on Locked On Lions and he ate 30 of their complimentary blue chews. Was he actually a guest on that show? I didn't know that. Or are you just saying that to set up your own joke?
That's Nick the Greek.
That's Nick the Greek. You can never be too sure. Irwin NCL, thank you for 38 months, says Jaden Daniels, much greater than Caleb Williams.
not according to Adam Rank.
Yeah, Rank has some real delusion right now.
There's no, I mean, that's Adam Rank. He's a Bears fan. He's unapologetically a Bears fan and will always be incapable of being objective. All right. There are a couple things we need to tend to. I think, first of all, I want to do Lions Locker Room, which is a 3-minute long video. Good news to you, Chris, because I think you are the one that suggested in the first segment that Dave Phipp gets the game ball. Spoiler alert.
He got a game ball?
He got a game ball.
Hell yeah. That's
fine. Can you still see it? I just took it away from a tab. Or is it showing my Twitter?
No, it's showing
your
our
tweet deck.
We're seeing your tweet deck. Yeah, your old style tweet deck that you're getting for free with.
I'm actually
extension
not
that is
for
not
free.
You're paying for Twitter.
I am monthly donating to the person who allows me to continue to. Why it's doing the same thing, right? You see my Twitter again?
Yes.
What the frick?
What the frick?
Share. Tweet deck. Wait, no, it's tweet deck. I don't want tweet deck. Share. This one. There we go. This now you see everything. Correct?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You guys came out to play. You came out to play, man. That's a huge win. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what champions do. You don't care what time of year it is, what the record is, what the weather is. It doesn't matter. You just show up and do what you do. Here's the thing. Let's call a spade a spade. That was not our best performance, really, on offense, defense. And there was a couple of things, special teams. But you know what happens? Man, when you do and get the returns and production out of special teams that we got, holy crap. Those returns, man, the return units, outstanding. Leaf, holy crap. Okay, and then you get 4 takeaways on defense, and then red zone. What were we in the red zone? 100%?
5 of 5.
5 for 5 in the red zone. Man, holy crap. Right? Good things happen. I got 2 game balls. Before I get the Leaf. This guy every week, man, brings it, and he coaches his freaking ass off, and the most consistent unit over 4 years, Dave Phipp. Come on.
About players, man, and we got a lot of players in this locker room. It ain't about me. I thank God, I thank my family, I love you guys, and I love the game of football, man. It has given me life, all right? And I am grateful to God for the opportunity to work for him, man. Thank you.
I never get to see Phipp like that. That's great.
All right, listen, so 4 years ago, 2021, okay? Brad comes into my office. He said, check this free agent out. He's at Tennessee, all right? They kind of use him. He's a gadget guy, really a returner. But you think maybe there's a place for him on offense. I watched 10 plays, and I was like, holy shit. Whatever it takes, Brad, let's get this guy in here. Made the call, talked to Leaf, got him in. Listen, man, he's been unbelievable. All right, so 5 punt returns for 190 yards. What? Dude, he was 19 yards shy of the record today. NFL record at punt returns and a freaking 1 touchdown, 38-yard average, all right? 90-yard touchdown, 2 catches, 14 yards, 1 touchdown. The freaking Iron Man does everything you ask. The greatest teammate, works his ass off. Kalif, Raymond.
Talk about team ball, 4 takeaways. Khalil kill him on kickoff return. I'm like, I gotta get one too. And I look at the tape, man. Enzo throwing blocks on defense stay for a punt return touchdown. It was so cool to watch. I'll go look at BJ. He's like, man, I don't get called by none of my plays, man, because we keep scoring. So it was such cool, man. That's what good teams do, man. They play team complementary ball, and that's what we just did. So love y'all. Thank God for this, man, and appreciate you guys.
Break it out of here.
Hello, y'all, baby. Heal up, man. Let's go back to work next week, baby. Family on 3. 1, 2, 3. Family.
How can you not love that guy?
I love these videos after every win. Like
so good.
It's funny because I think some of the other teams have started to post them, and even the ones with Andy Reid are like, "Hey guys, good win. Take time off. See you next week." And just
yeah,
like this is energy. This is very, very cool.
As Bryce says, the vibes are insane. The vibes are very, very good. And man, Kalif, like Ryan was saying in the first segment, he has to be one of your favorite Lions just because of his story, because of how humble he is, how good of a player he is. Like, the one thing I don't want to get lost is he's a really good route runner too. Like, we saw what he did last week to pour over the hill Stephon Gilmore.
God, was it last year or the year before where he led wide receivers in separation?
And he's still putting up insane separation numbers. And he gets a touchdown today. He gets a face mask / pass interference, which I've never seen a combo one of those that both get enforced, which was new to me. Because he burned that guy like so hard. And
yeah,
man, it's cool to see. It's cool to see someone like that succeed so late in their career, right? Like he's 30 years old. He's in year 9, and it seems like he's at the peak of his career, which is extremely rare. And what's also really cool is that the Lions are the team that's getting the most out of them, right? The organization that we are pulling for that has been so maligned for decades upon decades is suddenly the team that finds the needle in the haystack. How often are we used to our cast-offs being that needle in the haystack that we couldn't figure out? Now we're that guy. Now we're the team that Tennessee goes like, how did we let that guy go?
Very carefully.
Tyrell Williams, Rashad Perryman, Kalif Raymond all enter free agency in 2021. Kalif Raymond is the one who's stuck around and made the biggest impact out of all of them. I mean, I guess he technically made it further than Rashad Perryman too.
And I feel like
the 53-man roster.
People are finally appreciating him now, right? Because listen, we in our Slack we teased some people who had certain takes 2-3 years ago, saying like, why are we bothering extending, giving Kalif a 2-year deal? We need to improve our wide receiver room. This isn't good enough. And I understood the takes at the time, but they certainly haven't aged well.
That's why I never have takes on the roster.
If you never say anything, you can't be wrong.
That's right. That's why I pick a tie every week.
A couple of you throwing some tweet links in here.
Yeah, no, so some of this is what I want to talk about. I see people asking about Tyreek Stevenson. And that's part of what I want to talk about with the Bears.
Yes. All right, we need to show this.
Yeah, this is more than the spy.
Yeah.
More than Montez Sweat not being out there.
Let's go back to the dust. So, Hail Mary play. Let's back it up. This is Tyreek Stevens,
who's supposed to be covering number 85, Noah Brown, who's the one who catches the Hail Mary.
The Hail Mary is about to happen, and I'm guessing he's just, shit-talking fans?
Yes, he is.
The ball is snapped. And I understand.
Yes.
you don't have to go very far. You can get into the play. You don't need to be trailing anyone in particular, but like that, like the play is happening.
It's a fucking Monty Python sketch, man. Come on, keep going.
So, like, I mean, he eventually gets into spot, but he's also the one that I believe does not knock it down. Yeah, he's literally the guy that jumps in there and tips it up. His hand is right there.
Brother, we caught you in 4K.
That's pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, like, one isn't related to the other, but this is obviously an extremely bad look. Like, it is absolutely wild. Just this freeze frame right here is wild. Wild.
The whole the hand thing is like what makes it the best.
Incredible. And I was like, oh, here, let me do my job. I gotta lose this game for my team.
Is that like that's not like a dynamics like advertising board, is it? Because it's crazy that the word hail is in the background.
It's hail to the was it hail to the skins? Is that what their whole
with
thing was?
with the color
Yeah,
added to it, yes. That's their fight song. Their fight song.
I will never get sick of watching this.
Did you guys hear Tony Romo on the broadcast? He was like, well, with Jaden Daniels' rib injury, they should consider bringing in Marcus Mariota for this Hail Mary attempt. I'm like, what, bro?
I actually don't hate Tony Romo as much as most people do, but that is one of the classic thing he does, which is like overthink things.
Yeah, that's
Just
like a perfect, yeah.
A huge overthinker. Fantastic. A couple more alerts really quick. Templar, thank you for the sub on YouTube. Space Kataz 33 months says, now that's a fucking football right there. Chris Perfett is an appropriate comment. Please read aloud without fear. This is an appropriate
That's
comment.
fucking football right there.
Okay.
I was just mentioning on my stream, I haven't posted that video in a long time. It wasn't made for me. It's with, what's his name? Gani Matrano. I'm butchering his name really bad. Gianni Matragrano, a voice actor, did it. It's basically like a character from, it's a fake senator screaming about football. It's very funny, but I haven't posted. I used to post it last year after every win, and I haven't. So that's fucking football right there.
Stasio Green, thank you for subbing for the first time. Appreciate you. And Johnny Colorado Trail, thank you for the follow. And now we are caught up on alerts. This is the part where I also remind you that it's Movember, or will be Movember in 4 or 5 days or so. So if you want to put your subs on hold so that you can contribute to Movember, I am 100% behind that. You don't need to sub to us. If it's an either or situation, I would suggest you save your $5, $6, whatever it is, and save it for a charity that we're going to be sponsoring for the next month. Okay, we're caught up. We tackled the Bears. Is there anything else from the NFL that I don't know about that you guys want to talk about?
We talked a lot on the early stream too. I'm just trying to think. Like, I was mostly just watching Bears cope a lot. I feel a little bad for the Ravens. I keep watching that Kyle Hamilton play where it almost looked like he came down with it 3 different times.
They're gonna be fine, right? Like,
yeah, they're fine. I don't take anything away from this loss. It sucks, but Derrick Henry had 73 yards, and some of them were fairly impressive.
The thing that I brought up, and did I bring it up on your stream? I think I did.
Yeah.
Was like, okay, the the Browns now have another win. Is there any chance they're less likely to be a seller?
And what did all the beat writers around you tell you?
Not all of them, but at least one very
most of them
strongly said, I don't think this changes anything.
No.
Well,
Ravens
and then
are-
also, I was going to say pregame, Adam Schefter talked about the email that he sent to Mark Davis asking him if if Max Crosby was on the market, and Mark Davis
caps.
responding and saying that he's not available.
Camel case.
So,
Yeah, in camel case.
Comic Sans too, or no?
Man, Mark Davis. Yeah, no, I don't think anything changes for Cleveland. Baltimore and Pittsburgh are still going to. They don't have a shot to get back into that playoff picture in the AFC. As bad as it looks.
My argument here is I don't know if they feel similarly, but like now they don't even have to pretend like they're tied to their shitty quarterback anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying Jameis Winston is a savior because he's not, but like they can move forward as a franchise for this season now because they don't have to keep trotting the guy out there that isn't helping their football team because he's costing them a lot of money.
Yeah, there's really no way forward with the Browns except for next year. And the only way forward for the Browns for next year is trying to figure out how to get out from underneath a $260 million boulder. And part of that's just going to have to be shedding some contracts at some point. So, yeah, they're probably looking to sell some of that defense off. I mean, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah got hurt, I believe, in this game as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
It's tough, man.
Some people in the chat are bringing up the Bengals into this discussion, which is actually where our conversation naturally went because now the Bengals are 3-5.
Ooh, they got crushed.
Is Trey Hendrickson potentially on the block?
Well, let me ask Ryan. Like, I know they're only 2 games back of the Ravens and Steelers, but is the AFC North standings going to be about what it looks like for the rest of the season?
The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to make the playoffs, which just
unfortunately
seems crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers of the last 5 years. They're going to make the playoffs and they're going to get bounced in the first round. And Mike Tomlin will keep his job as he probably should, but they're never progressing.
You want to talk about a fugazi? That last game by Russell Wilson. I'm not sure how that worked. They played the Giants.
Jets.
No, they're playing the Giants.
They're playing the Giants.
They're playing the Giants this week. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Monday night, right?
Yeah.
You want to talk about funky schedules? We were talking about it with the Falcons already playing. What was it? Four of their
six divisional
games
are already in the books.
So the Steelers next week play the. Or no, do they have a bye week? Well, anyway, so the Steelers' next game is the Commanders. After that, they play home versus the Ravens, on the road versus the Browns, on the road versus the Bengals, at home versus the Browns. They play 4 straight divisional games, including on a short week, they play Thursday night. But, I mean, the AFC North is, and, then they finish the season with Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
You missed Eagles in there, too. But
yeah, but, as far as, AFC teams go, so, even them, I don't know how the AFC North is going to shake out.
It's a lot to still happen, right?
Divisionally, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they could really get knocked down a peg if those games don't go right for them. So, but you're calling the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? I think if you want to be sneaky and make a splash, you want to go big ticket shopping.
Who you want?
Josh Hines Allen.
Josh Hines Allen.
Hines Allen would be.
I thought you're gonna join the.
I don't know. Are they going to get
Walker?
Walker's on the rookie deal still.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're not going to do that.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'd be happy with either of them. I would rather pay quote unquote through the nose, to an extent for him because he seems like he'd be the most available, right?
We mentioned multiple. We need multiple. Ryan. The Lions looking at maybe a Sam as well. Can they even get a Sam from anyone?
Maybe. It's tough because I feel like they really want to give that opportunity to Nowiski, who's very up and down today. Obviously, he had the interception, but we went over it in the first segment. He had the interception, but he got
juked.
Dog walked by a backup quarterback that's not really supposed to be mobile. I kind of think they're going to stick with him. Like, that's just what the Lions' MO is, right? Like, they have this young guy that they like that has a lot of great athletic traits. They trust him. Or at least they want to see him out, I think. Like, see it out as, let's put more on his plate, and as we put more on plate, let's see if he gets better or if he gets worse.
Yeah. Hopefully the Malcolm thing isn't too serious.
Yeah.
You want to just talk about linebacker depth in general?
Yeah. It's not
Like Jalen Reeves-Maybin is cool in spots.
right,
but
a 40-snap guy, maybe
Yeah.
not as much.
Yeah. Defenses start shredding a bit. Hopefully you get at least some reinforcements at some point. I haven't looked at some of the IR windows as far as like guys like Kaminsky. He can come back this year, right?
Yeah, Kaminsky, it sounds like he's going to come back at some point, but it sounds like it's not expected to be before Thanksgiving. So you're talking about a December.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of football that happens in between now and then.
It is, yeah.
It's a month. So we'll see.
Man.
I feel like we should be talking about a lot about this in the.
No, that's what I was going to suggest. I'm like mentally as we're sitting here talking, I'm like putting together questions in my head to pose so we can make a second segment out of. I think we just get into it and just see what happens.
All right, let's do it. Ooh, Christian Kirk.
We're also getting
Fractures,
late, and I want to get us all
collarbone.
out of here by like 9:30 or so we can watch some of Dallas, San Francisco.
Okay, let's do it.
And I actually kind of want to put LAFC on the second TV.
I'm ready when you are.
Yep. Pride of Detroit PODcast. Back again. We had a lot of fun time in the break laughing about the Chicago Bears, as you should. Take some time, find a Bears fan you know in your life, and humiliate them. I saw a tweet talking about how being a Bears fan will teach you that life has a lot of disappointments and you should stay humble. I've never known a Bears fan to be humble, ever, period. That's
not in their DNA.
Why don't you teach them some humility? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that this week?
Good luck teaching any Bears fan anything. Dummies.
Yeah, they don't even know what school is. Anyway, let's talk about
Burn.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about this game. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions. Let's talk about we were having a bit of a conversation. I want to kind of bring it here. We talked a little bit about in last segment about the Lions need to go out and find maybe one guy, maybe two at this point. I mentioned the injuries. I mentioned the injured reserve. I mentioned that, we talked about Derek Barnes on there as well. Linebacker is kind of becoming a bit of need. I don't know. Jeremy, I think we talked about this, but you are of the belief that it's not going to be someone like Sam linebacker to be out there. It feels like even in spite of a rough day for him, they're going to try to stick with Trevor Nowiski and try to work this particular experiment to its fullest extent. And to be fair, like I do kind of give a little more weight to the interception than I do him getting juked by Mason Rudolph. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm coping a bit.
It's a little bit of everything, right? Like the thing with Nowiski is like with any player, he's only going to get better with experience, and he came into this season with 0. Right? He was only a special teamer on a couple of games last year, not even here. And so they really like what they had out of him. There wasn't really room for him on the 53 towards the end of last year because of all the guys they were returning for a playoff push, but they really wanted to see through that development last year and they didn't get the chance. So when the opportunity to re-add him right before the season came, they jumped on that opportunity. And, I think the plan this year was, let's teach him the same position so that we have a backup and we have options if we don't want to re-sign Derek Barnes next year. But sometimes your best laid plans go to waste, right? And so now He's in there. He's getting the experience. He has the athleticism for the position, right? He's built. He's physical. He's extremely fast. He can theoretically do all the things that are needed at the Sam linebacker position, which is pass rush, set the edge, drop into coverage. We saw him drop into coverage and get an interception today, right? But the Titans were doing a lot of misdirection stuff, and he was susceptible to it because players who don't play a lot, who don't have a lot of playing experience, are susceptible to those kind of eye candy situations. And so I think, given everything we know about this organization, yeah, they're going to see that out. They're going to say, hey, we're trying to develop our own players. If that means bumps and bruises in November and December, that's okay, because we want him at his best in January. And yeah, I mean, if there's an option out there, should they pursue it? Of course they should. But I mean, this team is starting a couple of practice squatters on the defensive line. To me, that's where the focus needs to be when you're talking about the trade deadline. And to me, it's very fascinating. Again, we were having this conversation during the break, but like, to me, it's very fascinating because they've moved the trade deadline back another week. It would normally be this Tuesday, so teams would have to make their decision, like, are we contenders? Are we not contenders? Are we buyers? Are we sellers? Right now, some teams might wait that extra week because you have a team like the Bengals, who are now 3-5 after another loss in this game. Like, is Trey Hendrickson back on the board? Then you have a team like the Browns, who are 2-6, I believe.
2-6 now, yes.
They get a win. The AFC North is kind of weird right now. Like, are they kind of feeling like they might be back in it? That Jameson Winston is 1-0 as a starter now? Like, I kind of doubt it, but maybe that makes them second guess putting a guy like Zadarius Smith on the block. I don't know. We'll kind of see how it plays out. It's very interesting to me having this extra week to think of things out.
Or a team, and I'll pitch it to Ryan on this, who brought this team up, who may have just had a very backbreaking loss and now sits at 2-6, with really a little bit of their dignity salvaged while they were in London. But Ryan, I think your burning eye, like Sauron, is starting to hone in on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team that there's been a lot of talk. There's been the hypothetical trades thrown out from ESPN people. Trayvon Walker, I think it'd be kind of premature for them to give up on a first-round pick who's, number one overall pick, who's still on their rookie contract for at least another year, right? But Josh Hines-Allen, that's a guy who, when the Lions drafted TJ Hawkinson, it was like, man, Lions missed out on an edge rusher. And that guy's, I mean, he got paid, so that's the tricky thing, right? He got paid during the offseason, got the huge contract, 5 years, $141 million extension. I think I saw, and when you think about maybe like a name like that, maybe you think akin to the Bradley Chubb trade that the Dolphins made when they got an edge rusher from Denver. They traded a first and a fourth along with running back Chase Edmonds, but a first and a fourth for a guy like Josh Hines-Allen is, I mean, that would be an aggressive move, but also, I mean, that's a move that instantly improves your pass rush. That's the instant impact that you get from a guy like him. And he's a really good run defender too. I mean, he's a little on the smaller side because he's like 6'5", 6'6", like 260. So it's a little, I think 255, like a little bit smaller than what they want their edges, Jeremy. They prefer their big John Kaminsky's, and even Pascal's a really big guy. Like surprisingly big for the way he plays and everything. So he's a guy who can stand up and run defense. All I know is that they're getting somebody. They're getting at least somebody, and
they have to.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen between now and next Tuesday.
I think that's the key too, is pass rush. Like, I
think the run defense a little bit too. Like,
it is, especially along the edges now, but also at the same time, like, they've made their bread and butter so far, even without Hutchinson, keeping teams mostly one-dimensional. Like, and yeah, I would like a guy to be decent on the run, but like the premium right now is the pass rush, because like Mason Rudolph, Sam Darnold, these are guys who are taking all day to take some shots right now. And like, I would like to see that resolved. I really would, because this is a secondary that is opportunistic at the end of the day. And without someone around the edge forcing a quarterback to hurry up, they're not getting they're going to miss out on some more takeaways.
No question. And listen, the secondary is kind of struggling for it. I think the secondary is going through their own kind of growing pains, particularly at the cornerback position. And those issues are being highlighted when the quarterbacks are having more time. Meek has not looked great in coverage. He did get 2 punch outs that I don't think we've even mentioned yet that were huge plays in this game when the game was still very much, at least the first one happened when the game was still very much in question.
Yeah. Was that after the punt, the Leaf punt return?
I think so, maybe. I don't
know.
It
was like that fumble happened. It was like, oh, okay, the game's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Terrion is still going. He gave up a big play today, but I think he also had a pass breakup. Carlton Davis, I think, is more good than bad, but I think he gave up a catch to Ridley today. So, and I mean, I don't even know the name of the guy who also seemed to be tearing up the Lions. Nick Westbrook, whatever.
Remember Justin Mello talking about him?
Yeah,
the DeAndre Hopkins replacement.
Yeah, I mean, he only had 2 catches for 39 yards, but one was a touchdown, one was a 34-yard gain. So, I want the secondary to be playing better, but one way to make them play better is to get pass rush, and so the Lions absolutely need to go out there and make some sort of move. Can we talk about Jamir Gibbs really quick? I feel like we need to highlight Jamir Gibbs a little bit.
Let's talk about him because I feel like the first few games it's been a lot of Monty.
Yes.
And Monty was still fine here punching it in, but the last couple games Gibbs' shiftiness has really been on display. 120 yards on the ground. I think he added like a 6-yard catch. On top of that as well, including that 70 yards to the house, just turning on the Jets. Yeah, go ahead, Gibbs.
I don't know if people realize this. Fantasy people might realize this. Jamir Gibbs has 70 yards in every single game this season between receiving and rushing. Every single game. Like, he's just quietly been a very productive player. I mean, you think about the guys who were producing 70 yards a game last year, and we were talking about them as all pros. Sam Laporta, averaging about 70 yards a game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, averaging about 70 yards a game. Jamir Gibbs, I know he's really taken off in these past 2 weeks, back-to-back 100-yard games. He's quietly been doing it all season and doing a little bit of everything. I still think he can get more involved in the receiving game, and I do think that's eventually going to grow. I was hoping it was going to happen this week, but I'm not going to complain about 127 yards and 11 carries. And man, just seeing that speed to the outside and poor Quandre Diggs taking an angle that maybe he could have taken 7 years ago.
Oh boy.
Man, just having that explosive threat now too, because that's the one thing that's been a little bit missing from the Lions running game. We know that they're capable of doing. They did it a lot last year, just the explosive plays on the ground. And listen, they can get by with 5-6 yard gains from Montgomery and still be really good. That's basically how they won overtime against the Rams. But when you can do that quick straight offense, and I think that played a big part in like demoralizing the Titans, because they score a touchdown, bring it to 7-7. Lions is that when? I think that's when Gibbs' touchdown was. It was 7-7. It was the first play after they had scored a touchdown. It's like, oh no, you think you're going to take back this? You think you're going to make this game now? No. Oh, we just need to flick our wrist. That's it.
Flick our wrist.
We're back in the lead. And I mean, how demoralizing does that have to feel? Because it happened after they scored the other touchdown too. Like right after that, it was either the return. I think it was the kickoff. The big kickoff return happens literally right after they make it 14-14. And so it's just like the offense has to be like, every single time we do something good, special teams or the defense has to mess this up. And let's not forget that this Tennessee defense is really good. Their run defense is really, really good. The Vikings run defense last week was really, really good. And the Lions have put up 150 rushing yards on both of them. Top 5 run defenses.
There are only 2 teams that can have that feel like they have explosive plays right now in the NFL on the ground. And that's the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
And the Lions have 2 running backs that can do it. The other guy is Derrick Henry. like a guy who's probably very good case. We see Derrick Henry at one point in the Hall of Fame for what he does.
Oh yeah.
Like but that's what we're talking about here. And it's funny you mentioned the fantasy guys, because I know I dealt with a few frustrated today, mostly about Sam Laporta, and I yelled at him when Sam Laporta finally got a touchdown that actually stuck on the board. But also that, I hear people who keep asking me, say, Chris, you're a Lions guy, when do you just roll with Jamir Gibbs more with the hot hand? I'm like, Lions don't do that. Lions don't do that. You want to know the secret success? It's that these guys get the rest, ready to go, and complement each other so effing well. And yeah, Monty's been very busy to start the year, but now it's starting to be Gibbs' show a little bit, Ryan.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Gibbs is the explosive plays, and whether or not you're going to categorize an explosive play as 15 yards or 20 yards. Here are Gibbs's longs for the year as a receiver. Week 6, 20-yard long pass. 20-yard long pass in week 3. In week 7, 18-yard, a long catch, right? And then if you look in the receiving game, in the rushing game, his longs this season, a long of 45 against Minnesota, a long of 70 today, a long of 24 against Tampa Bay, a long of 20 against Seattle. Those explosive plays, and we're talking about a guy who only gets 15, 16 touches a game.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the efficiency in which they're getting those big plays that, I mean, a 45-yard play, that's backbreaking to a defense. All of a sudden, with offenses starting on the 30-yard line, a 30-yard play is, okay, we're in Jake Bates range. Like, right. That's just the reality of it. So that's the best thing I think that's going for the Lions offense right now, is the explosive plays from Jamir Gibbs.
Yeah.
Monty deserves all the credit in the world for a guy who just keeps the engine running and will wear a team down. And maybe we might even see something like that against Green Bay this week, because they've done it before. But Jeremy, I don't know how you can underscore how important Jamir Gibbs has been to the offense, because of the exact play today, 70 yards, right? Like, the game is tied, and then nope, it's not tied anymore. Sonic's in the end zone.
Yeah. And I really like what you said about the usage too, because I rushed to look at the stats. Jamir Gibbs has 15 or under 15 carries in 5 of 7 games. David Montgomery has under 15 carries in 5 of 7 games. They're the whole like, oh, well, David Montgomery is running really well. You don't need Jamir Gibbs. Oh, Jamir Gibbs is running really well. You don't need David Montgomery. No, the reason both those guys are playing so well is because they get to stay fresh.
Yep.
They get to punish you in the limited, and I'm sure that like motivates them too more. Like, if I'm only going to get 20 touches a game between rushes and receiving, I'm going to make sure I get every little piece out of every single run I get.
Keeping it on the offense, and maybe, by the way, before actually that, you mentioned Jake Bates a little bit ago. Another career long.
Hasn't missed a field goal yet.
No. Keeps happening.
He also made a couple of kickoffs through the uprights today.
That get points for that.
In the CFL, I'm pretty sure you get points for it.
Yeah.
We're on the same page there.
Yeah, like a walk-off punt.
Oh, God.
A walk-off punt.
Yeah.
But
That's
call
what
it
happens
a
up in a rouge. That means red.
Yeah.
That means red, Jeremy.
I see red when I think about a game-winning punt.
You see rouge.
I see rouge.
Let's talk worry meter on Taylor Decker.
I'm concerned. There's been just a trend of Taylor Decker getting beat quickly, right? Like, not necessarily coverage, sacks, or things like that. There's been some problems in terms of his agility, to the point where a lot of people are questioning if he's hurt or if he's not 100%. And Jeremy, the reason why it's concerning is, like I said, there are plays where he's not even getting in the way. The Arden Key sack on the first drive, there was no really quote unquote pass rush move. It was just, I got around you. And that's when the Jared Goff experience falls apart, right? So It's so critical that Panay and Taylor are on the top of their game, because we saw it in this game, Jeremy. We saw the Jared Goff patent and spin move.
Yeah.
And that was the play where he got hurt?
Maybe.
I think it might have been where he got landed on his ankle, but it's just not good.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is when your left tackle loses, it's very noticeable, as particularly when it's the very first play of the game. Like people are going to remember that.
Yeah.
People aren't really going to remember the rest of the game when I think he was fine. I think the other 3 sacks that Jared Goff took, a lot of them were kind of on Jared Goff. But you're right. Like, this isn't the first time that he's given up a sack that quickly, that spectacularly in a bad way. And let's be honest, Jared Goff, I believe, has fumbled the ball 4 times in the past 2 weeks. And the Lions are extremely lucky to have lost 0 of those.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin Zeitler.
That is not going to happen every week. If you remember, the last time the Lions played the Green Bay Packers, they were all over Jared Goff, and they did not recover several of the fumbles that they had on that day. So I'm looking to next week and thinking, like, there's a little bit of concern there for sure. I'm not at a 10 like some people in the chat are saying he's completely washed or whatever like that. Like, he's in a bad stretch. He's certainly not playing his best football, maybe the worst football of his career right now. I don't think he's suddenly like completely unathletic, completely lost his mind. I think he's just put together a couple of bad games here. And yes, father time comes for everyone eventually, but I don't know. This guy's played enough good football for me in recent history, enough for me to believe he can get over this, and he needs to.
I just want to say too, to the Green Bay game last year, Rashawn Gary, it's the speed rushers that are giving him problems, right? Yeah. It's a very specific type of player. I think last year it was 4 total pressures, 3 sacks for Rashawn Gary, and it was the Vikings game last week too, right? Like there was some stretch of play that was concerning, but again, I think it's a specific kind of player, and I think that maybe there just needs to be something taken into account. Even on that play where Key got the sack, Chris, Sam Laporta was lined up over there. Like, can we get some Sam Laporta chips? No Parker Hesse in this game because they want to go with Shane Zylstra. I don't know if there needs to be some extra help back there or what, but
maybe
give Taylor Decker some help.
Put Skipper out there a little bit more. Give him. I don't know. I like some people asking. I'm wondering how much he might just be dealing with stuff. Everyone's dealing with something. He's avoided a lot of the injury reports, so I kind of doubt that a little bit. But clearly, it's just not something's clicking right now, or just people have a good read on how he moves on that side, that he's just getting compromised a little bit. I still have faith in him to settle things down. I also have faith in Jared Goff to not be this quiet of a game. Granted, a lot of that came from short field position. And once again, he had as many touchdowns as incomplete passes, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But
I think a team, 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns? What was it today? 7 touchdowns. And
7.
And 4 incompletions as a team.
Yeah, well, one of those incompletions was also Hendon Hooker, too.
So, yeah, way to go, Hendon. You're throwing off the ratio here, buddy.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson got a target.
Allen Robinson got a target.
He did.
Look, I think I'm curious what we learn about his taped up ankle. I think Goff is enough of a trooper getting through all of it.
Did they tape it up? I know they treated it, but I'm not sure if they.
I thought they taped
it up.
Okay, I might be delusional. Don't ignore me. Either way, like, my worry meter's way down for him at this point. Definitely felt like they were going more towards a run game, just kind of like give him some time away from getting sacked as much, though.
And the run game was working.
Yeah,
which again is pretty incredible against a really good run defense.
And part of that had to do with Taylor Decker too. Like,
he can still run block.
Oh yeah,
he can still very much so run block. Yeah, and I mean, the run game was so effective. We talked about this again, but like, they were so afraid of David Montgomery, they left Amon-Ra St. Brown completely open in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. Like, it's going to sound weird to say this, but I think it's absolutely true. I thought Ben Johnson was fantastic today.
Yes,
because listen, he probably had to use more red zone plays than between the 20 plays, and he was obviously pretty damn good at it. Actually, Kalif made a joke in his post game thing, like, Ben Johnson's getting mad over it. He's like, I can't even use my full playbook right now. You guys just keep getting into the red zone. But like, they were awesome in the red zone. There were a lot of really cool plays, and I feel like every single touchdown pass, outside of the David Montgomery touchdown pass was to a wide open receiver. And that is scheming up wide open players. And that's Ben Johnson.
The real key, I feel like, that is going to stick with me as we worry about the defense so much, is that one of the keys of this Lions team just being really good is, and I didn't think we'd say this after the Tampa Bay game as much, but since that Tampa Bay game went and gone, like, they have been extremely good in red zone offense.
Fantastic.
And they've been creative, and they don't. They're not afraid. Usually, when you hear trick play, it's a bit of desperation. They're not afraid to work it in whenever they feel like it's going to work.
Yeah, it's not desperation in Detroit. It is baked into what they do. It is a foundation of what they do.
Yeah. Can I say one of the things that I was upset that I didn't get a chance to really see this week against Tennessee, and that was what the offense looks like without Jameson Williams, because again, to everything we're just saying right now, everything was in the red zone. There wasn't a lot of work between the 20s. Didn't really get a good look at how this offense is going to look against a competent defense. So that's something that, like, I was looking forward to seeing this week. But when just the team stats from this game are insane. 416 total yards for the Titans to 225 for the Lions. 23 first downs for the Titans to 17. Time of possession was 35 minutes and 37 seconds for the Titans. Lions only 24-23. Like, if I told you that Jared Goff threw for 85 yards and David Montgomery rushed for 33 and all those other team stats, you would say the Titans won by 30? What this game is crazy. Like, this game's drunk.
It's a very weird game.
On the conversation of Jameson Williams, I'm glad you brought it up, because I know, like, the Lions won't have him for the Packers game. Did the PES thing that actually kicked in? There was some confusion about that.
Yeah, they made it official on Thursday.
This is game 1 of his 2-game suspension. Yep. Okay. I am not, just because of how Kalif is playing right now, and I'm not saying Kalif's a replacement for that, but, like, look, I feel like you haven't seen a lot of Sam Laporta this year. You haven't seen a lot of Kalif. St. Brown had all of 2 targets in this game. Again, going to the conversation we're having, that everything is just completely thrown off. But I also feel like when you're approaching the Packers, you're going to want a different script. You're going to want a possession-heavy script against the Packers. Just keep the ball away from them from whatever they're doing. So I think in that...
I was going to say, tinfoil hat, maybe it's a good thing that the Lions didn't have to show them what their offense looks like without Jameson Williams.
Yeah. I was talking with Eric after the game, and I think he said it on our Pride of Detroit video. He's like, do the Packers even look at this video? Like, look at the tape from this game? Is there anything that they can legitimately take from this game?
They watch the special teams tape.
Yeah, right. That'd probably be smart to do.
That's really all you can watch. Like, there's not much else.
Scouting Hendon Hooker. Hey, if you want to see Jack Campbell play 71 snaps, like, dude, that was something. Here's one of the interesting conundrums I thought from the game. Towards the end there, Chris and Jeremy, would you have just let the Titans score so you could just get the ball back and knee it down 3 times? Because watching Jack Campbell just belabor every tackle he was making, it's like, dude, somebody spell this guy and get him out of the game.
Right.
This guy's a dog, man.
He's not going to slow down, when the Titans are trying to run out the clock.
Right.
I think this is, I can't claim this for myself. I believe Jeff Riston had this point, but, like, the rules against, like, on how many people are inactive on a given day, I think it was more making this point because, like, the Lions have several, between Sorsdal and Manu, on, like, several guys who are like clearly developmental O-line guys, and you can't give them any time at all whatsoever because they're inactive. when you've got a laugh for, like, this game, you can't give them any development, any snaps whatsoever. But to that point, like, we've kind of long said that the idea of pulling all your starters doesn't work because you don't have enough people active on game day to do those moves. Likewise, then you get situations like Jack Campbell playing late into this game. I more saw it with people screaming about Jared Goff a little bit, but again, like, I think part of that is just giving Goff a chance to get back on some MVP train numbers too, and recover a little bit of dignity after. But it's nobody wants to. Jared Goff certainly, and the Lions certainly don't want to hear that Jared Goff finished with fewer yards than or even touchdowns or whatever compared to special teams plays. So like there was probably like all right, let's settle this down. Then you're not going to put in Hendon Hooker in the third quarter anyway. Game who knows what happens.
That to me is the point. Dan Campbell is a competitor. He is not going to put the backup quarterback in with 7 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
Dude, do you remember that?
That's too much. Yeah.
Remember that story he told about when he was interim at Miami, and he goes, "We pulled out some of our starters in the third quarter, and then they like came back on us, and all of a sudden we had to like take our starters that were out of the game, put them back in the game, and it ended up being a close game." So.
Yeah.
Who knew we were going to see this much Hendon Hooker before week 18?
Right. 2 games of him. And Goff isn't hurt. But no, back to the Jack Campbell point. It's like, this is, again, the problem is that the roster isn't big enough to take out someone like Jack Campbell. And just, it gets a little frustrating in that regard, right? That it's like, you can't pull everyone.
Yeah, Lions, stop beating up on teams.
Yeah, stop blowing out teams.
So that you're risking your good players to get injured during garbage time. Make games closer.
As compared to like if you only win by 14, but then if someone gets hurt in one of those plays, like that's when it's okay, I guess.
Like first place in your conference problems.
First place in the NFC problems, really. I think that's something I wanted to close up shop with is like, I was talking with someone else today who was watching his Seahawks just choke on the Buffalo Bills. And I was trying to be like, look, man, the Seahawks, like even at 4-4, you still got, okay in the NFC West. There's still a chance for it. The 49ers lose. I mean, we're recording this during Sunday Night Football. 49ers lose tonight. Like, the path's open for the Seahawks. And he was telling me, I just don't really feel like there's much point in doing this talk about getting into the playoffs when a team like the Detroit Lions exist, who are clearly head and shoulders above everyone else in the NFC right now.
No, stop.
No, I disagree with that premise.
I don't.
But I'm just saying.
I don't.
I'm just saying, you look at the NFC North and you look at the other divisions, and like I know the Commanders are 6-2, but it's a little fugazi right now with who they've played. But like, there is something dispiriting about for other people out there watching this Lions team just crush a team like the Tennessee Titans like a soda can, and knowing that like you dispatch the Vikings, you dispatch the Cowboys. You dispatch a lot of other teams who are really good like now, the Cardinals, the Rams, the Seahawks. Like, and that this is someone that in spite of if there's any losses on the schedule, whatever, they're still considered one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFC.
The Lions have played more NFC West teams than they have NFC North teams.
Yeah, you're 3-0 against the West.
Goofy.
Listen, they swept every non-interdivision division that they played, right? They swept. I don't remember the 2 divisions they played last year. Whatever, but they're on their way to potentially doing that again this year. I think it's.
But I think that's just me. Sorry, Jeremy, but like I feel like this is me making a plea to look at the forest instead of the tree, because no one goes undefeated in the NFL. There's going to be a loss at some point. Just take into consideration the long view picture of these Lions.
Right. Which is why I was looking at games like this, or even the Vikings game. If the Lions had lost that game, the route to getting the NFC North crown was going to be much harder. But I don't think any of us should have ever had any doubt that this team is going to make the playoffs, and how they play in the playoffs is really going to define this season, anyways. And so, if you're nervous about next week, like that's, I think the approach you should probably take is, listen. Next week is going to probably be a battle, arguably, between the number 1 and number 2 team in the NFC. Not NFC North, NFC. Like 2 very good football teams playing at a very high level right now. And obviously we'll have to see what the quarterback deal is with Green Bay. But if they lose that game, it's going to suck. The Packers will be up atop the NFC North for a week or maybe longer. But it's not the end of the world. Lions are going to be 6-2 at worst. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to get another shot at Green Bay.
Quick correction, I think the Commanders would be on top, and they play the Giants next week too. So, I mean,
they'd have the same record.
I'm not sure what the tiebreakers would be, but yeah.
It's a big game next week.
It's a huge game, and this is what we're living for, right? Like, I think there was this perception, particularly maybe with how last year played out that like, oh, when you're the number one team in the NFL, it's like smooth sailing, you're gonna win every week, you're so much better than everyone else. It's not typically how it works, I think, for a number one team. And there's something to what Dan Campbell said the minutes after the NFC Championship game, which was when you have expectations on your shoulder, everyone is gunning for you. Everyone is giving you their best. Green Bay is coming into this game. They're going to be super motivated, super hyped because it's the first place Detroit Lions coming into town.
Yeah. Well, this game's really important too, because I think one of the most important subplots to this season is getting a first round bye. The Lions, I think, are going to need an extra week's rest, because I'm looking at the stat from CBS Sports. Over the past 13 years, not a single team has won the Super Bowl in a season where it had a week 6 bye or earlier. So I'm not saying that that's set in stone, right? But I am saying that there's a big difference between having that bye week so early in the season and getting that extra week's rest there at the end of the year. And who knows? Maybe you get some more guys healthy, and it's going to be really important for this team, though.
I'm not worried about the Lions and any kind of number about things, because as we see each week, they keep breaking old records on various particular stats.
And hell, if they win this game, you're already now two games up on the Vikings, because you're one game up and you have the tiebreaker. If you beat Green Bay, you're essentially 3 games up on them, because you'll be up 2 normal games and a tiebreaker. Like that, I mean, that is a pretty comfortable lead, considering how contentious this division is. Like that is a monster lead amongst a really, really good division. And to be in that spot through 9 weeks would be pretty darn incredible.
Let's get out of here. We've hit our quota, I believe, on talk, even though we could keep going, but it is starting to get really late. By the way, small note, trying to see about a LA meetup at some point for the Texans game, which will be, as far as I know, on Sunday Night Football.
Yep. Unless they change it, which I have no reason to believe they would change that.
No clue whatsoever. Let's not look past the Packers game, which for some reason, apparently Fox could only get pictures of Tom Brady for that. They couldn't find any footage from Packers-Lions games. Okay, whatever. But yeah, no, let's get out of here. I'm Chris Perfett, at Chris Perfett on Twitter. Detroit on Lion is Jeremy Reisman. Are we making Blue Sky accounts at some point?
Nope.
I still have one. I'm trying to post there a little bit more. Ryan, at Ryan_POD, Ryan Matthews. We'll have plenty this week. Midweek mailbag. I believe that one is an open one.
Nope. Subscriber only.
That is Pride of Detroit Direct. Yes.
Yep. So if you want midweek mailbag this week, prideofdetroit.com/subscribe.
Yep. Pride of Detroit Direct for the midweek mailbag and for
First Bite.
And coming back this week, the return of the Purview podcast after a week I had with fever. So we'll be back, all of our programming on wherever you get podcasts. As always, we will see you Starside.
Recording stopped.
Okay. I keep forgetting to mention the LA thing. And I need to talk to whoever it was on Twitch who was recommending bars in LA. But I feel like after work, I could probably schlep over to wherever.
All right. I got to get out of here, guys, because I have to stop and get milk. So see ya.
The milks.
See you, buddy. You're going to be arc-slit because I don't feel like changing it.
Damn it.
Plus, we're going to get out of here pretty soon.
Huh. That means I have a bigger Twitter account and I actually get writing.
Ooh, this is fun. Someone has a side-by-side shot of Caleb Williams and Caleb Williams during the Hail Mary. So we're going to watch that because that seems fun.
Oh, yeah, I see that too.
Desktop. There we go. Oh, we're probably going to get DMC'd from this. Oh, well.
Jesus Christ.
He was not very happy.
No. He's getting bearsed.
Nah. No, don't jump to the not a leader talk.
No.
He's mad. He has every right to be mad. I know, like, there's questions about, he's crying after games. Like, let's not get into that territory.
He's a passionate, if I knew anything from him from USC, he's a passionate player. He cares about winning. Like, that's
a good quality.
It's a very good quality. Look, there's a lot to say about the Bears. I know he hasn't had the great rookie season. He's playing like a rookie quarterback, but also Shane Waldron is not a good offensive coordinator. That is not a good offensive line. It's not a good system he's in at all. And I'm not going to sit here and defend him, but like, it could be worse. He could be Anthony Richardson right now. He's not that bad.
Yeah,
do not
so
look
we watched
talk on Anthony Richardson.
We watched the Tyreek Stevenson stuff. If you haven't already, definitely go out there and watch it. We watched it during the last break. But yeah, Tyreek Stevenson, the Bears defensive back, literally has his back to the play for the first
jawing
10
with
seconds
Commanders fans, jawing with the people of DC.
Very, very stupid and hilarious at the same time. But yeah, Caleb, what I do find very interesting is, like, you know, everyone's like, wow, this Bears offense starting to really turn a corner here. Starting to really like what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. Yeah. And every person who was paying attention said, hey, you just played the Rams, the Jaguars, and the frickin'
Panthers.
Carolina Panthers. 3 of the worst pass defenses in football. And then you go and play a Washington defense,
the Commanders are much
which
better.
is a terrible defense, and you go scoreless through the first 3 quarters of the game.
You know, usually a team comes off a bye week looking fresh, well-rested, and ready to rock and rumble, and somehow the Bears regressed instead.
Yeah. Caleb Williams, 10 of 24 for 131 yards, 5.5 yards per attempt.
Look, I don't think he had, like, 3 quarters that was bad, but, like, put them in a position to win late in that game. 4th quarter, there was some.
He did, or the defense did, or DeAndre Swift did.
No,
DeAndre Swift. 7 of their 15 points came from DeAndre Swift running at 56 yards.
Yeah. But I'm not counting about points. Like he got, like, there were plays to get them into the red zone.
It's a 56-yard touchdown. That's not a red zone.
I know, but I'm talking like
he had one drive. That's what you're talking about. One drive. Well, he had 2. They fumbled out the goal line.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And by the way, that's what I'm talking about when I'm, like, laying some blame here at Shane Waldron. What the fuck are you doing thinking that that's a cool idea? Like, you're going to just go do a big man touchdown there? You think that's cool? Something you look like you barely fucking, like, an aborted handoff? I don't know. Maybe some of that's on Caleb Williams. I don't know. I'll have to watch the tape on that. Either way, like, what the fuck?
It's Tony Romo overthinking. That's what it is. You have a really good goal line running back.
Yes, you do.
In what's his name? Roshan Johnson.
Yes.
It's a good physical back. He is your David Montgomery. Just stop being fancy and give him the frickin' football.
Yeah.
That's how you finally took the lead, right? You gave it to Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, he had the touchdown, yeah. Just, man.
Anyways, Bears, you're silly. Stop making dumb mistakes. Actually, continue to make dumb mistakes because it makes me laugh.
The cope is intense. I love the cope we're happening right now. Adam Rank is the Adam Rank video is very funny.
I I haven't watched it, and I probably won't because I don't like Adam
No,
Rank.
there's nothing useful there.
But you Bears guys, you're funny.
Fun. Okay.
All right. I think I want to get out of here. It's halftime of the game, but I still have to write my entire newsletter. I still have to write my grades.
I have to edit this thing and actually maybe try to put together a post this week.
Yes. So, as we kind of ran down at the end of the show, Midweek Mailbag will be a subscriber only. So if you are a subscriber, make sure you send an email to get a question asked. We're going to try to answer every question that we get asked on the Midweek Mailbag. The Purview podcast will be back this week. So we'll first bite. What week is it? We'll have Dusty, hopefully. Dusty Evilly, one of our favorite guests every year. Nope, that's a different person.
Oh no! God damn it! Okay. What's Tex's real name? Why can't I never remember?
Evan?
Western. Yeah, but his last name's Western.
Yeah.
So that's why. Okay.
Graham Glasgow's live. Should we rate him? I think we should do that.
Absolutely.
If you're on Twitch, here's what's going to happen. You're going to stay where you are. Don't jump off. And then our stream will just turn into Graham Glasgow's stream. If you're on YouTube, they don't allow you to do that. I don't think he's even
Stick
streaming
around
on
for
YouTube.
a second and we'll say farewell. Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go do that. So if you're on YouTube and you want to see Graham Glasgow stream some Counter-Strike, jump over to our Twitch page right now, and then just stay there for a minute while we go and raid Graham. Anything you wanted to say before we get out of here?
No, not really. Thank you for everyone who showed up to the pregame stuff. I know that my plates are always crazy busy. Would like to do more sometime, but Ruby's turning into a bit of a chore for me to care for these days. He's not doing great. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I had anything else to say.
All right. We'll just leave it at that then.
Yeah, I'll ping around the Discord as far as like meet up and try to remember who talked to me when. But yeah, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We'll just whatever. I want to put out feelers for it. Also, never order hot sauce from a website called Keatonist. I've never met a company that decides to deliver hot sauce by a DoorDash. It's like a box package instead of like the post office. And I might have just tipped my hand a little bit on Movember.
It's fine.
Chris showed Jeremy. Jeremy has seen the D Wade statue.
Yeah. We got to go. The raid's about to go. So appreciate you guys, all your support. We'll see you guys later this week. Go Lions. Bears are funny.
Go Loins.
And go hang out with Graham Glasgow now. See you later.